Welcome back everybody to another pomade review, and today I'll be talking about one of the more famous rockabilly themed pomades out in the market today, and it is Mr. Ducktail. Now Mr. Ducktail pomade right over here is a collaboration between, of course, the Mr. Ducktail barbershop in London and Hair Gum, which is a French-based hair product company. I reviewed one of Hair Gum's pomades a few months ago. I reviewed the Hair Gum Road in the Vanilla Scent. You can go ahead and check that out if you want to. But today I'll be talking about the Mr. Ducktail original classic grease pomade right here, which is a light hold actually. And first of all, let us talk about how much product there is in one tin and the price and also the artwork on it. So this pomade, it's really no secret that it's way overpriced. Its retail price is about 10 British pounds, which is 12 euros or $13, and you only get 1.3 ounces, this little tin right over here, which is a nice slip tin, which if you press it, it'll open up. The artwork though, I really do love it, especially with the fact that it was made by Vince Ray. And Vince Ray, he's a pretty well-known artist in the rockabilly community based in the UK, and so it's a really nice touch to get him to design the artwork for the Mr. Ducktail products, which has a skull with a pompadour here and a switchblade under him, two switchblades, and Mr. Ducktail right up here in a psychobilly-esque font. And I just really like the artwork. It's super badass. And the scent itself, it's a really strong cherry coke scent, and I'm honestly not too big of a fan of the scent. Not that it's a bad scent per se, but I just don't really like going about throughout my day smelling like a fizzy drink. That's not really for me. If you open up the lid, you'll see a white, rather soft looking pomade, and its texture actually really reminds you of black and white. It has a greasy feel with a present waxiness to it, and it's very easy to break down in your hands, of course, but it gets very sticky. And this being a rather soft pomade, it is really easy to apply to the hair and just goes in like nothing. Obviously no tug whatsoever. Styling with this stuff is actually pretty easy. You can see that the comb moves through my hair really easily and really smoothly. It's a very easy pomade to comb through my hair. It's very sticky in nature, and its texture really does help a lot with the control, because I do get a great amount of control from this pomade, especially for something quite light. And its sticky nature also really helps with the amount of slickness I get from it. It can make my sides and my hairstyle overall look really tight. And that's what I do love in a pomade. I always really like pomades that give me a high amount of slickness. The height you get from this pomade is rather moderate as well. It's pretty good for a light pomade, and it does not have a very greasy weight to it, in that it really won't weigh your hair down to make it look really flat. But it won't give you crazy height either, given its hold, but you still get a moderate height for a light pomade. The initial shine on this is between medium and high, leaning more towards the higher side, in that it doesn't look too wet or too greasy, but it's still a nice gloss. However, the shine does fade out as the day progresses. It turned into more of a medium shine for me, and you can see that my hair looked rather consistent for the remainder of the day. It remained slick, but obviously movement expected, especially on the unparted side and cowlick area. I would describe the hold on this pomade to be somewhere between Royal Crown pomade, which is super greasy, and Black and White. Black and White has more hold in it, sort of like a light medium-ish pomade with a decent amount of waxiness to it, but it's just got a nice greasy and waxy ratio to it for a light medium. And I'd say that Mr. Ducktail just sits right in a happy medium between Royal Crown and Black and White in terms of its hold, texture, and styling experience overall. It just really sits between there for me. I honestly expected this pomade to be very blinding in terms of shine, just something very wet and greasy looking, and maybe with an uncontrollable amount of greases to it, and just to perform like a standard, very generic, really greasy light pomade. But it actually exceeded my expectations in that its hold is better than expected. I thought it would actually be lighter, and it has like a shine that's more controlled and well moderated than I expected as well. And the best thing I like about it is actually its buildup. Some people might see this as a disadvantage, where the buildup is actually really difficult to wash out of a hair, and I did not really see this coming either. And typically for pomades like these, it would get me about 2 or 3 washes to get out of my hair. But for me, I estimated it would take at least 4. I obviously didn't take all of that time shampooing my hair, but given how much I estimate by the amount of products left in my hair after 1 wash, barely any product was washed out of my hair, and just very tiny amount of it actually was washed out. But the remainder of it remained, the remainder of the pomade stayed in my hair, and it really does have a prominent buildup. And as you build up even more, I wouldn't say it has a super greasy or dirty buildup. It's got a great ratio, a buildup ratio of greasiness and waxiness, not an out of control greasy buildup, but not a very heavy waxy buildup. It's just somewhere in between. And there's a substantial amount of weight added as you build up, but it doesn't add too much weight that it will actually flatten out the hair so much during the second application when you build it up. So it has a rather fair amount of weight added, and at the same time, it does not feel way too waxy or way too greasy. It's just in between. I do enjoy its build up, that I get a lot more control out of it during styling, but I've actually felt better. But overall, my final verdict on Mr. Ducktail, really nice art, and it's actually pretty decent. It's sort of a good pomade, but really for its price, you can pick up something a lot better and something that's more worth your money. It's not bad, but just very overpriced, and I'm not too crazy about the scent. It's got a nice control, nice stickiness, and okay shine, but overall this is actually really not bad stuff. But if I was, honestly, if I can choose, I wouldn't buy this pomade again. I was just lucky that my barber sold it for half the price because nobody wanted to get this. It's been in the store for quite a while, just 1 tin, and nobody ever picked it up. So he decided to sell it for 50% off, and I walked away with it. But anyway, if you enjoyed this video, please leave a like, comment, subscribe to this channel, click on the bell icon to never miss a single upload of The Squinty Show, and I'll see you next time on The Squinty Show. Stay greasy, everybody.